Okay, just a recap of what we've been looking at. We are in chapter 7.3, the unit circle. These are pages 14 and 15. So real quick, in our unit circle, quadrant 1, the sine is positive, the cosine is positive, the tangent is positive. In quadrant 2, the sine is positive, the cosine is negative, the tangent is negative. In quadrant 3, the sine is negative, the cosine is negative. That makes a positive tangent. And in quadrant 4, the sine is negative, the cosine is positive, our tangent is negative. So this information is going to help us place angles in the correct quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the highlighter here. Okay. So if we want to know where the sine is positive, we can look up above and see that sine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So sine is positive above the x-axis. All the yellow there is where our sine is positive. Now we're looking for where the cosine is negative. Cosine is less than 0. And we take a look back up here. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. And so that is this half of the coordinate plane. We're looking for where those overlap. So the sine is positive and the cosine is negative in quadrant 2. B. We want to take a look at where the tangent is positive. We can check up here, tangent is positive where both sine and cosine are positive, or both sine and cosine are negative, so that's quadrant 1 or quadrant 3. So here's where the tangent is positive. We also want to know where the sine is positive. And we just did that. So sine is positive up here in quadrant 1 and 2. We are looking for the overlap. Tangent is positive and sine is positive in quadrant 1. On to page 15. 2 more examples. So we want to know where cosecant is negative. So we're going to pick a new color for the cosecant. Okay, so our cosecant is negative. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So we need to know where the sine is negative. Sine is positive on the top half of the coordinate plane, so it's negative down here on the bottom half. There's our negative sine and our negative cosecant. Now we need to figure out where the tangent is negative. Tangent is negative where either sine or cosine is negative. So quadrants 2, quadrants 4, our overlap then is quadrant 4. That is where the cosecant is negative and the tangent is negative. Very last example, where the secant is positive. Secant is positive where cosine is positive because secant is 1 over cosine. That is the right half of our coordinate plane. Now we're looking for where the cosecant is negative. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So we're looking for the part of the coordinate plane where the sine is negative. Again, these overlap in quadrant 4. So we can take a look at a trick for remembering this All students take calculus starting in quadrant 1. All the trig functions are positive in quadrant 1. Sine is positive in quadrant 2. Tangent is positive in quadrant 3. And cosine is positive in quadrant 4. A lot of students find that really helpful. This is the end of chapter 7.3.